Thank you Squarespace for sponsoring this video. From now until the end of February, you can get 10% off all film developing and scanning orders at Speedy ePhoto. All the information is in the description below. The sad thing is, I don't even need one of these right now, but over the years, this has become the signal of the beginning of a photo outing for me. So every time I'm going out to take photos, I feel the need to slam a Red Bull to just signify that the photo mission is starting. It's become an unhealthy tradition, unfortunately, but we're not gonna stop ripping it today. Wintertime is here in Washington. The frigid temperatures are back. There's frost on the ground, and I love it as long as the sun is out. It's when you get 10 days in a row of dark, depressing, cloudy weather, things start to get a little grim. But the cold temps and sunny weather is something I can very much get behind, which is why I love going out to the east side of this state, because they get a lot more sun out on the east side because of the rain shadow that the Cascade Mountains provide. So yeah, in the wintertime, I often find myself going out to the east side of the state, driving over I-90, stopping at the Summit Inn to see if there's any more deadbeat cars left for dead in the parking lot of that hotel, which of course we will be doing today. It's been a couple years since there's been one there, so I'm hoping that there might be some old beater left there, but we'll have to go find out for ourselves. Yeah, it's been a while. The wintertime, I always get a little unmotivated, get a little down, I guess, a little lazy, just yeah, it's not great, the beginning of winter, that transition from fall to winter. I'm always just like, I don't want to do anything, I just want to sit inside and die. So gonna try to combat that today by just getting out there. You know, I think the most important thing is just taking that first step and getting out there. You know, when you're in a rut, when you can't find the motivation, just get in the car, fucking turn the keys, start driving, get out there. You start to get into the groove pretty quickly, you know. Even in the first like 15 minutes of just showing up somewhere and starting to take photos, it all starts to come back. You realize, okay, this is why I like doing this so much. So it's just taking that first step that's sometimes really hard. But yeah, it should be a good day. It's gonna get a little overcasty, I think, later in the day, but we'll still try to get some good photos. Got a few rolls of 120 film for the Mamiya 7, and yeah, I'm looking forward to getting the gears turning again, going out and taking some photos. All right, so we are just getting off the I-90 exit here at Snoqualmie Summit, cruising into town. I always forget that this place is like popping midday. It's a full-blown ski resort, obviously, so definitely quite busy, a lot of activity going on, but we're gonna cruise into the Summit Inn parking lot here and just see if there happens to be one of those old vehicles left to die. Chances are unlikely. I think just for a couple of years happened to be a nice coincidence that there was a couple old cars left here, but yeah, I don't think we're gonna find anything today, but it's definitely worth stopping in and checking just to be sure. These snow mounds are pretty high. It's only January too, so a lot of coverage here, it looks like. What do we got? Yep, that's about what I expected. Looks like nothing. Well, you want the truth? I'll tell you the truth. I was a lazy sack of shit this morning. Should have been up at 4 a.m. Should have been up here before sunrise, gotten some nice morning light like I've done in the past, but it's just getting harder and harder for me to get up that early in the wintertime for some reason. I'm getting lazy. I'm getting old and pathetic, apparently. Things need to change. So here I am, middle of the day. The light's terrible. The only thing that makes it somewhat bearable is the fact that there's snow all over the place. Snow reflects light really well. It can kind of compensate for middle of the day light sometimes, but also sometimes it can look like complete shit as well. So yeah. We're still going to take a couple of photos up here, I'm sure. I got the Mamiya 7 up here for the first time. Usually when I do these little outings where I'm just kind of working out of my car, I bring the Pentax 672, but the Mamiya 7 has become my go-to. I can't believe I'm saying it. I always thought the Pentax would always be the go-to camera unless I'm doing traveling or backpacking. But now, even for everyday photo outings, I'm picking up the Mamiya 7. It's just so light, so compact, so easy to use, and I love the 43mm lens that I have for it. This lens has fast become my favorite lens that I own on any of my medium format setups. So yeah, let's load up a roll of Gold 200, try to grab a couple of photos up here at the summit, but I think we'll be moving on pretty quickly just to try to find some more interesting scenes and maybe some better conditions. It's a beautiful day though, no denying that. Sun's out, and yeah, it's quite pleasant up here, nice and brisk. I might also utilize this video to rant a little bit about some stuff that I've been contemplating over the last few months. One of the reasons why I've done hardly any photo outings recently, just nowhere near as consistently as I used to, is because I've been having this overwhelming feeling of just feeling like there needs to be purpose behind going out and taking photos now. From the beginning, you know, when I first got into film photography, I could just go out, shoot around for fun, try a different film stock, try a different camera, and that alone would be interesting enough for me to go out, feel motivated and fulfilled filming a video and exploring new places. But now, 150 videos in or so, I've been all over the state of Washington. Of course, there's still more places to explore, but I feel like I've hit most of the major attractions here in Washington. I also feel like I've tried out enough different cameras and enough different film stocks to kind of understand what I like, what I don't like, what's interesting and what's not interesting to me. And I no longer really give a shit about, oh, today we're shooting Cinestill, today we're shooting Portra. It's never really, it doesn't really fulfill me anymore. For me, I've been feeling recently like there has to be a deeper purpose for me to go out and shoot photos, which isn't true at all. Just going out and taking photos for the fun of taking photos is enough of a reason to go out and do it. But for some reason, just going out for the fun of shooting photos has been a hard motivator for me. It hasn't been enough, and that's kind of unfortunate, but at the same time, I think it's a natural step in the evolution of a photographer to want to pursue something at a deeper level or with more of a purpose than just going out and shooting for fun. Today I'm not really shooting with a purpose at all. I'm trying to rejuvenate that first kind of interest that I had in film photography, just going out and shooting for fun. And I always say that if you're going out to shoot, at least you're spending time outside, moving around. It's better than being cooped up in your house during the winter time just doom scrolling on Instagram, which I tend to do way too much of these days. So, that alone is enough of a reason to get out and shoot photos, but it's just been harder and harder for me to realize that, which is unfortunate. So today, I guess I'm just taking the initiative and trying to get out here and shoot around and do something more productive with my day than sitting around doing nothing. So yeah, we'll drive around a bit, try to find something interesting to shoot, even if it isn't a part of a bigger project or a bigger storyline that I'm trying to tell. Hopefully these videos of me just cruising around, being an idiot and trying to find some interesting things to take photos of is still entertaining and still worth the watch. So yeah, we'll see what we can shoot here at the Summit Inn. Gold 200's loaded up. Decided to not overexpose this roll, just shooting it at 200 f11 1/500th of a second. Should be good. Yeah, so I guess what I mean is like just taking a photo of this, I'm like, why am I taking a photo of this? 2 years ago I'd be fucking pumped on it, but now I'm like, why am I taking a photo of this side of this building and this sign? Like there's no deeper purpose involved. It's an annoying thought process that I've been having recently, but I've been trying to combat it, overcome it as much as I can, because it's still fun to just go out and shoot photos. But God, I can't get over this feeling of like everything that I shoot a photo of these days has to be for some bigger reason. I don't know if anybody else deals with that, but it's frustrating. So I don't mind these first two images that I shot at the Summit Inn. Gold 200 can provide some fun colors to work with when shooting in the middle of the day. And at the price point, it's just been my go-to film stock in 120 for quite a while now. And I really like how the colors convert in Negative Lab Pro when I scan this stuff myself at my house. This composition seems a little interesting to me. They're getting two snow banks on the left and right side of the frame. Also getting the Summit Inn Pancake House sign and the Summit Pancake House sign on the building as well. I'm actually gonna shoot this one again, but I'm gonna wait for a truck or a car to pull up right here. Because with this wide lens, having that be right at the front of the frame, it might be kind of cool. So we'll give this one another shot once a vehicle pulls up. All right, let me tell you my dilemma. Whenever I'm out shooting in the cold, I always end up wanting a warm beverage. And for years, my go-to has been the gas station hot chocolate. It's satisfying, it's warm, it's delicious. You feel pretty good drinking it until you realize what the hell's in the thing, which is pretty much poison. Ingredients you never heard of before, 70-some grams of sugar, I think. I mean, it's just ridiculous. So recently, I've been resorting to good old-fashioned black coffee. What's the harm in that? Well, the harm in it for me is that I start tweaking out and then end up shitting myself about an hour later. So I need to find a good balance between coffee and gas station hot chocolate. I'd get decaf coffee, but they don't have it at this gas station. What I need to start doing is bringing a little box of tea with me and a huge thermos of hot water, because tea is the GOAT, hands down. All this coffee nonsense with the craft fucking, you gotta pour it in the... Drink a fucking gas station coffee like a man and shut up. But yeah, tea is the way to go. It's so simple. Just throw a fucking bag of leaves in a hot glass of water and you got yourself a warm beverage. It's delicious. Yeah, that's my style. Anyway, I'm gonna proceed to drink this, absolutely tweak out, and then have to find a bathroom in about an hour's time. So let's get on the road, see what town we can cruise into, and see if there's any more photos out there waiting for us on this beautiful, sunny winter Washington day. I didn't realize that the classic Twin Pines burger joint was open this time of year, but it is, and I'm gonna get a photo of it. Shot a couple photos here before, but I'm gonna do it a little differently since I got the Mamiya with me today. And get one from back here on the 65 and then move up a little closer and get one on the 43 as well. All right, so I'm driving one of my favorite highways out on the east side, Highway 10. It connects Cle Elum to Ellensburg. I've driven it numerous times, but I'm gonna try to snap some photos of some stuff I haven't shot before. Here's the first roll down. I actually might do a photo right here. I kind of like this frozen pond off to the side of the road. And then this train in the background, 43 mil lens, do a long exposure, and when a car comes by, try to get some motion blur from the car. Might be kind of an interesting one. I haven't really shot a lot of long exposures on gold. Not that this is gonna be a super long exposure, probably 2 to 4 seconds, but yeah, it's not my first stock of choice usually when I'm shooting long exposures, but given the fact that Portra and whatnot's so expensive these days, I'm just making gold work for whatever the circumstances may be. All right, so we will of course throw an ND filter on here. No polarizer needed, but the ND is obviously needed during the midday sun. And let's calculate our exposure here. So, okay, so it's gonna be 1/2 of a second, f22, 5 stops of ND. I've shot a photo kind of like this before, and I think I shot it at like 2 to 4 seconds, somewhere in there. And I think the motion blur just ended up being too much. So if we go with half of a second, that should still give enough detail to see kind of the car moving in a more solid state. But obviously 1/2 of a second shot at a vehicle doing 60 miles an hour is gonna create a good amount of blur. So yeah, I think we're all set up now. We just wait for a car to come by. All right, we got a car coming towards us. I think I wanted a car going away from us, but why not try both, right? All right, 1/2 of a second, and 3, 2, 1. I completely messed up my little long exposure experiment on these photos. Looking at these frames, it's quite clear. I probably should have just shot this at like 1/15 of a second or 1/30 of a second, because when you leave the shutter open for half a second in the middle of the day to try to catch a moving object, yeah, you're really not gonna catch a whole lot when it's traveling at 60 plus miles an hour. So yeah, future note, if I'm trying to do this again, let's try 1/30 of a second and go from there. All right, I've pulled into Ellensburg. Beautiful little town in the winter, and I see a photo right off the side of the road here of a pile of junk. True film photographer shenanigans. Shooting right into the sun, so I'm gonna shoot this f11 1/250th. I thought this image was a good example of just how much dynamic range you can get when shooting on film and then scanning the images on a modern mirrorless camera. For me, it's my Sony a7 IV with the 90mm macro lens, but shooting right into the sun, I mean, the sky is extremely bright in this scenario, and still get a really even exposure all throughout the frame, even down low in the shadowy areas, and then up in the sky, able to retain so much information in the highlights. This is just a prime example of why I love shooting on film and will continue to do so. And then I love the combination of utilizing modern cameras to scan the negatives, because all that information's there on the negatives. It just takes the right equipment to extract it. I am unfortunately going to shoot another photo of this pile of junk, so I apologize for that. I have, of course, ventured out to this overpass because I saw potentially a cool composition. Now that I'm out here, I don't know if it's as cool as I thought it was, but we're going to go ahead and shoot it anyway. And we, of course, are always hoping that I don't get hit by a car in the process. This isn't an excellent photo by any means, but I think it's my favorite from this day out shooting in Eastern Washington. From a composition standpoint, I really like the way that it's framed. I like the kind of leading lines that the train gives you into the center of the frame, and then using the rule of thirds to get that antenna kind of situated on the left side of the frame. I think it just balances really well compositionally, and then the exposure is pretty good as well. It's a little dark in the bottom right side of the frame. Those shadows are pretty deep, but I don't mind it. Overall, yeah, pretty pumped on this photo, at least relatively speaking from the other photos that I was able to get on this day. If you watched my video that I made last year of me coming out to Ellensburg and shooting around in the winter time, you'll remember the stop I had at the Wild Goose Casino. This holds a special place in my heart because this is where I decided to pop in real quick, get a few pull tabs, do some investigating of this establishment, and I ended up winning $500. If it was open, I'd go in and try to run it back, but I don't think it opens till 4, and I got to get going. But before I leave, I do have to get a photo of the Wild Goose Casino. Again, this time I'll try to do it from a different perspective, try to switch things up a little bit. But yeah, This is an iconic spot in Ellensburg. All right, I got a roll of Portra 400 in the camera now. Switch to a little faster speed film just because it is going to start getting dark. And during this time of day, I'd rather have Portra 400 in the camera than gold. But yeah, I'm going to try to get out in front here, try to get a little cool vantage point. I don't love the way this composition's framing up, to be honest, but I'm going to just shoot this photo anyway. All right, here's what we got going on. Sun's setting a lot faster than I thought, because I always misjudge just how early the sunset is in winter. And back west on I-90, there's a gas station, Sue Me, that I've always wanted to take a photo of. Like for years now, I've wanted to take a photo of this gas station just off I-90. It's cool, kind of old school looking building, and I want to get there before the sun completely sets, try to get a few different compositions there. So I'm actually not going to hang out anymore in the Ellensburg area. Got a late start to the day. This is what happens when you do that. You run out of time, don't get to photograph everything you want to photograph. So don't be like me, don't be lazy, get up early, get the job done. But yeah, we're gonna start heading back west on I-90 and get to this gas station, try to get a couple cool photos of it before it gets dark out. Well, I did not make it too far down I-90 before making a stop. Sun's just poking out through the clouds, and this vantage point is absolutely beautiful of the Stewart Range of the Cascade Mountains. The snow really throws the meter for a loop, so be F11 at 1/250th of a second here. We'll see if an isolated semi truck comes up over this hill. I think that'd be a cool shot. Right when I took this photo, I knew I fired the shutter slightly too early. Definitely needed to wait another quarter of a second, half of a second for that truck to fully enter the frame. I think this photo actually would have turned out pretty sweet had I just gotten the timing right, but I guess I got a little shutter happy on this one. I have made it to the final stop of the day. It's this gas station just in between Snoqualmie Pass and Cle Elum. Been wanting to shoot it for a long time. Yes, it's a gas station, whatever. But there's some cool little relics lying around the gas station that I think will be fun to shoot, starting with this school bus right under the gas price sign. So start off with this on the 65 mil. Well, it's the Parkside Cafe, home of the turtle. Whatever the hell that means. I like this Cascade Towing building as well. And grab a shot of this. And that leaves us with one shot left. For the last shot, I'm just gonna take a photo of the RV town sign, and the gas station's in the background, as well as the gas price sign is in the background. I can kind of layer this in a cool way, I think. So I'm gonna go ahead and just try this out, see how it works. And that will be all. I lied, loading up another roll. One of the most annoying parts about shooting on film is that sometimes there's just one more frame you want to capture. And in order to do so, you gotta load up a whole other roll. Going 43 mil, I really like the entrance to this gas station. These little piles of snow really add to the scene, so I'm gonna take advantage. Just getting to the point where it's too dark to handhold this stuff, but should be all right. Overall, I'm not incredibly impressed with these gas station images. I think I either should have shot them a little bit earlier or waited a little bit longer and gone for more of just a full nighttime type of shot. The sky was still a little bright in the background, and I should have taken more time metering for this particular location because I was just kind of utilizing the built-in meter on the Mamiya, which is usually pretty accurate, but when you're dealing with a lot of mixed lighting, like lights coming off of the gas station itself and the sky in the background, and then there's, darker trees in the background, there's a lot of variable lighting conditions, and I probably should have taken a little bit more time to meter properly, but there's some decent ones in there. Definitely could have done a better job at this location, though. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to wrap up the first trip of 2025 out east. Felt good to get back out here, and I love seeing this place when it's covered in snow. It's so pretty out on the east side of Washington. Felt good to shake the rust off, shoot some photos again because it's been far too long, and my assumption was correct. Once you get out and start shooting, just get in the groove of things again, it all starts to come back to you. You start to feel good about it. And I was reminded as to why I do this. Because, it's just, a great creative outlet, gets those creative juices flowing, and it feels good to make stuff. And even though I've been to most of the places that I drove around to today, I was still able to find some new stuff, and that's what it's all about. No matter how many times you go to one specific area, I always feel like there's more photos to get just because things can change season to season, and you'll always find stuff that you didn't see previously. So even though I feel like, I've been to so many places in Washington, and I've, I get in my head about, I've kind of expended the amount of photos I can get here, it's absolutely not true at all. It's a ridiculous way to think about things, because there's always going to be little changes, little differences in each outing that you go on, and I was reminded of that today. And loving this winter weather, nice sunny cold weather. It feels good to get out and shoot photos in these conditions. So I'll be back soon, definitely gonna get motivated and get some more photo trips in this year. Back on a consistent schedule. It's gonna feel good, start making some images again in 2025. Thanks for tuning into this one, and I'll catch you very soon. Peace. Squarespace is much more than just a website building platform. You can use it to build a business, sell products, manage inventory, or host an online portfolio. One of my favorite aspects about Squarespace is that because of its extremely intuitive interface and wide selection of creative templates, you can have a professional website up and running in virtually no time, with zero coding required. There's also a new design intelligence feature that helps you get started with the creation of a new website, even if you're not super design savvy. Just punch in some basic info, select what features you'd like on your site, a color palette, and Squarespace will build a quick website that you can further customize to fit your needs. Maybe you're a photographer looking to get new inquiries and increase bookings. Clients can schedule a session directly on your site. Maybe you have a blog and want to offer additional content to community members. Squarespace offers memberships for those creating exclusive content. There's so many features that make Squarespace the one-stop shop for those looking to create or expand their business. If you'd like to receive 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain, head over to squarespace.com/Brae or use code Brae at checkout to do so.